The last time I was here, which years ago, I think I've changed a lot, grown a lot. It's nice to see the welcome that I've had. There's a huge Filipino community here, so I'm so excited.
45 minutes. That's how long it took for this clay court to swallow her whole. 6-0, 6-1, no mercy, no warning, just erasure. 1 year later, she's walking back through those exact same gates. The last time Alex Eala set foot in Rome, it felt like a different lifetime. She was younger, rawer, still figuring out who she was on this surface. But she says she's grown since then. And Rome is about to find out just how much. Because when she stepped off the plane this May, she wasn't arriving as a hopeful. She was arriving as the 44th ranked player in the world, carrying 15 wins already on the season, and a coaching setup that reads like a clay court dream team. And the city, Rome, was ready for her, in ways that go far beyond tennis. In Rome's Flaminio district, tucked between old buildings and cobblestone streets, there's a public plaza called Piazzale Manila, named after the Philippine capital. A small detail, a quiet nod. But to the roughly 165,000 Filipinos living across Italy, many within driving distance of the Foro Italico, it means everything. These aren't tourists who flew in for a weekend of tennis. These are people who built their lives here, who know these streets, catch the same buses, and have already memorized exactly which route gets you to courtside in time for warm-up. Even Filipino embassy representatives showed up during her Madrid matches just days ago. This isn't a fan club. This is a diaspora community claiming one of their own, on familiar ground, louder than ever before. Now here's where this story gets complicated, because Rome isn't offering her any favors. The WTA has officially confirmed that the 2026 Internazionale BNL d'Italia features the most dangerous women's field assembled on any surface this entire season. Every single player from the top 20 is present. Everyone. Iga Swiatek, seeded 4th, a 3-time Rome champion, the queen of modern clay. Elena Rybakina, seeded 2nd, the 2023 title holder. Jasmine Paolini, seeded 9th, the defending champion playing in front of her own home crowd. Elina Svitolina, seeded 7th, a back-to-back winner in 2017 and 2018. Add Karolina Pliskova on a protected ranking, and Karolina Muchova as the 2020 champion and 11th seed. More than a dozen past Grand Slam champions. The last 3 Rome winners, all seeded, all here, all hungry. And Eala? Unseeded. Ranked 44 spots below the point where the bracket offers any shelter. This isn't a difficult draw. This is the draw. To understand why this moment hits differently, you have to go back to May 7th, 2025. Same court, same clay, same stadium. Marta Kostyuk ran through her in 45 minutes. The scoreline was 6-0, 6-1. There was no gray area in those numbers. She wasn't just beaten. She was overmatched at every single level on a surface that put every weakness she had on full public display. That score didn't define her ceiling. It defined her starting point. And what she's done in the 12 months since is something the rankings have only just started to catch up to. The 6-0, 6-1 wasn't her ceiling. It was where she began. Here's what the seedings don't tell you, and what the people closest to this situation have quietly known for months. Her 2026 clay preparation has been shaped by Sandro Vien as her lead on-court coach, supported by Joan Bosch and Luke Bowser from the Rafa Nadal Academy. And at the center of that entire structure, according to Academy reports, is Tony Nadal, the man who spent decades engineering the most dominant clay court player the sport has ever seen. Across 14 French Open titles, Eala has spoken about it plainly. They are so blessed to have Tony as part of the team. Greg Rusedski, a former world number 4 and 1997 U.S. Open finalist, didn't need prompting to weigh in. Speaking on his podcast last week, he said that being embedded in that academy means the clay philosophy behind 14 Roland Garros titles lives in her daily training, not as inspiration, but as instruction. That, he said, is not marketing. That is coaching reality. Rusetsky went further. He compared her cultural impact to Manny Pacquiao. He said she's great for the WTA. He said he wants to see her inside the top 20. And he said she doesn't just, bring fans to matches. She brings entirely new audiences to the sport itself, particularly in regions with large Filipino communities where her presence alone shifts attendance. 6 days before committing to Rome, Eala made a statement that had absolutely nothing to do with tennis. On April 21, 2026, at the Laureus World Sports Awards in Madrid, one of the most prestigious nights in global sport, she walked the red carpet in a Filipiniana gown designed by her uncle, Alex Eala. She said she had always dreamed of wearing one on a global stage. She said the Laureus Awards felt like exactly the right moment. In a room full of the world's most celebrated athletes, she showed up as herself, fully and unapologetically. Not just as a tennis player, as a cultural ambassador, presenting her identity where it could reach the widest possible audience. But the courts haven't offered the same warmth. In her 3 losses heading into Rome, against Ostapenko in Linz, Fernandez in Stuttgart, and Sakari in Madrid, the scorelines were blunt. 4-6, 7-5, 1-6, then 4-6, then 2-6, 1-6. Against Elise Mertens, ranked 21st, she didn't break serve once and won just 38 of 99 points. The pattern is visible and undeniable. When she faces players ranked inside the top 25 on clay, the physical gap has consistently tilted against her, often by wide margins. Rome doesn't soften that. It intensifies it. But the difference now is that she arrives having been prepared by people who have solved exactly this problem, at the highest level tennis has ever produced. Still, after that loss to Mertens, the reaction online was loud. Enough that Rusetsky addressed it directly. "Don't get too discouraged," he said. "It might take a little longer, but she's got a great team and she's got to find solutions." The fact that he felt compelled to say it publicly tells you how loud the conversation had become. Eala didn't respond with words. She responded with a decision. Within 48 hours of that result, she withdrew from the Catalonia Open, a smaller, safer event she was already entered in, and locked in Rome instead. Not a step back. A WTA 1000 against the deepest field of the entire season. My pressure is nothing compared to theirs. Alex Eala, on her supporters for Eala, this clay swing isn't a standalone event. It's a qualification campaign for Roland Garros, which opens on May 24th. Every win in Rome moves her ranking, reshapes her seeding, and changes the path waiting for her in Paris. A quarter-final run could push her toward the top 30 and fundamentally alter her first-week draw at the French Open. An early exit sends her into Paris carrying the same uncertainty she brought into clay season. The WTA, for its part, continues searching for the next generation of stars who can crack open new markets and bring new audiences in. Eala's presence does exactly that. The 165,000 Filipinos across Italy represent a concentrated, deeply invested fan base the tour has never engaged at this scale before. Tournament directors from the Foro Italico to Roland Garros are running new calculations, not just athletic ones, but commercial, cultural, and institutional ones too. There's also the WTA 125 Parma Ladies Open, running May 11-16, where Eala is seeded 4th. If she's still competing in Rome when Parma begins, that scheduling decision alone will tell you everything about how seriously she's treating this stretch. After her first win in Linz, earlier in the clay swing, she paused and reflected on the reception she'd received. "I think it's amazing," she said. "I'm really happy with how they've welcomed me and welcomed the Filipinos." And when someone asked about the pressure her supporters carry while watching her play, she said something that landed hard online. "My pressure is nothing compared to theirs." That line explains everything. Her motivation isn't purely internal, it's relational. She's not just playing for ranking points or prize money. She's playing for people who waited a long time to see someone from their community stand on courts like these. And when she spoke about working alongside Rafael Nadal's legacy at the academy, anything I can take from Rafa, I'll take with pride. She wasn't being poetic. She was describing intention. The clay philosophy behind 14 French Open titles isn't hanging on a wall in a training facility somewhere. It's being built into how she moves, how she patterns points, and how she prepares for opponents exactly like the ones she's about to face in Rome. 1 year ago, this clay sent her home in 45 minutes. Now she's back, ranked 44th in the world, shaped by one of the greatest coaching minds the game has ever produced, carrying the weight of 165,000 Filipinos who already know exactly how to get to the Foro Italico. The draw is brutal. The expectations are real. And for the first time, so is the preparation. Rome doesn't know yet what it's about to see. But the Filipino community gathered around Piazzale Manila, the ones who built lives here, who ride. Those buses who've been watching from the very beginning, they have a feeling. And they've been waiting for this moment a long, long time.